Stating what you wish to do to the whole world often works against us in ways that we don't expect. In the novel, the 48 Laws of Power, it goes on to say and talk about how, you shouldn't always let people know your intentions and let people know your goals and how you want to go about achieving the things you want to achieve. Letting everyone know your intention causes more opportunity for people to alter and mess with your goals. Also, I find that after something is told to others, as it pertains to ourselves, that is, our desires for what we want and even desires for like our own self-improvement often diminish. They lose power. I think that silence is often something that's overlooked in terms of how we allocate and move about our day-to-day. I feel like a lot of people want to project and tell everybody their dreams, their goals, or aspirations, how they want to do it, the step by step, the process, what they're doing, how they're improving, and all this stuff. But I feel like there's a huge part of that that's ingenuine, and it's mainly people trying to project a certain image about themselves and show others that they're improving for them and not for themselves. Because I feel like there's a certain kind of humility and humbleness that comes with your own journey for self-improvement, and I feel like it shouldn't be something that should be put on airs. It shouldn't be something that you constantly spout to others in an effort to make people aware that you're changing, because I feel like if you're actually changing and you're actually improving, other people will notice regardless of you telling them. And I feel like that's much more genuine and fulfilling than letting everybody know. I think this is because people will often, talk about their improvement to show others they're changing, or trying to be better. It's a flimsy safety net at which people try to catch themselves with. The more we tell people, the more we tell our subconscious that we need to convince others and ourselves. I feel like the more you're constantly spouting out this stuff, it kind of shows that you don't really mean it. Or it shows that you don't believe it yourself. Like if you're constantly telling people what you are, oh, I'm smart, I promise you I'm smart, it seems a little insecure. And that's not to say that everybody does that, because some people are just, arrogant, or they talk about their own self a lot. It doesn't necessarily even have to be arrogant. But in some cases, constantly talking about how you wish to improve and how you are in these grand statements instead of showing them through action often allude to something that's more subconscious, like a convincing of the self rather than, a statement about how things are, or convincing of others so you can feel more comfortable in how you express yourself. The true improvement must, in my opinion, be void of others, especially when it comes to like their influence and stigmas. When we tell people, it can seem like we now have more of an obligation to do these things. Like if I tell you I'm gonna improve myself by doing this or that, it seems like, oh, now I have this weight on me. I told these people I would do this, now I have to do it. And while in some cases that may be like a driving force in your motivation and how you want to carry out your day-to-day, sometimes it can work the inverse way. Because some people will get to that point, they'll see the obligation they feel like other people have placed on them, but they allowed them to do that, and they'll relinquish it because they feel like they're being burdened, and then you're ultimately not improving, and that just goes to show that you weren't improving for yourself, rather for others. But in this scenario, we're doing for others what we should be doing for ourselves. The self is only a reference that does matter for the perspective of others that cannot, fully grasp what you are and who you tend to be. So the implication is to be sure that you are making strides for self. Otherwise, these people will generate and change the foundations you have for what you know as yourself, and ultimately negatively impact how you express your day-to-day and how you go about being you. They change the exact structure that you kind of go through life with, and you'll start reacting in a manner that's befitting of the image that you're trying to maintain of yourself, or the image that people have prescribed to you, rather than the thing that you inherently are. The question that I've been asking myself a little bit is like, who are we besides the memories? Like, how can you reference yourself without a memory or some type of action you want to partake in or some plan for the future? Who are you? And I think that's what we need to more so improve. You know, that silver lining, that subconscious self that's sort of within us, the thing that's driving most of our actions, not the ego that's trying to be out there and trying to be perceived in a way that's befitting of itself. It's trying to, hold up this certain image of itself in order to feel comfortable, while the true self is not about comfort, it's about being you. If we always allow others to define who we are, then that structure is bound to collapse once those people are out of our life. And in this collapse, we will find out that what we do is often hardly even for our benefit, but to benefit the image that we project onto the world. We assume too often that we are visible to those outside the building. In this building, in this reference, it is the self. It's like we assume people can see our internal workings rather than accepting the fact that no one really knows what's going on inside your head except for you. People can learn your mannerisms and your actions and what they mean, but ultimately, if you decide to change that one day, they don't know what's going on inside your head. They can see your mannerisms and they can judge how you feel, but they can't judge what's going on inside of you. My point is, you also shouldn't be that worried about this image, because ultimately it does nothing to worry about it. You should work on your subconscious, who you are really, and your image won't have to be something you try to do. It's going to be something you are. It's no longer going to be an image, it's going to be you. And I think a lot of people have to come to the realization that who they are externally isn't always a projection of who they are internally. A lot of us do for the reason of appeasing others. A lot of us don't work in silence because we're so accustomed to other people viewing what we're doing and getting that instant gratification from their validation, maybe in a specific moment, rather than getting the validation after the job is complete, the job that you need to complete, the job that you want to do. Who we are also always, remains in stone. It's our ego that can be seen. And this ego is the thing that's altered by those around us and convinced that we must change the self. We need to work on being the self for the self and not for an image.